Welcome to Tell to Trevor. I am your host, Trevor Shelley. Today on my podcast, I have give yourself your introduction.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know if you were going to introduce or wanted me to do it.
You said what?
I said, I didn't know if you wanted me to or if you were going to. That's why I was just waiting.
Yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself.
All right. Anthony Young, professional wrestler from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Been wrestling about 5.5 years now.
All right, Anthony. What sparked your interest in the professional wrestling?
Um, Probably just like the athleticism of it and like kind of the presentation. I'm really big on presentation, so just seeing like these wrestlers that are like all sorts of different characters and like what each of them bring differently to every match they're in or like every product they're on.
Who were your wrestling mentors growing up?
One more time.
Who were your wrestling mentors growing up?
Give me like my favorite wrestlers, like so to say.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously probably Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, um, Brian Kendrick. Those are like the top three. Like when I was growing up.
Shawn Michaels is a popular man. I hear on this. I've been hearing on this show just
Yeah, he's one of the greats.
past 3 seasons. How did you get your start in the wrestling world?
Um, so it was like 2017. I was really bored on like a Saturday, and I was just like, I don't remember how I stumbled upon it, but I saw IWC Wrestling had a show. It was in Butler, which was like a little. It wasn't too far away from where I was from at the time. So I ended up going there, watching it, and I was just like, I never knew there was like wrestling on like an independent level, other than like obviously like the main companies like WB, TNA, etc.
Yeah.
And then they were handing out flyers for the next event, and then I ended up not going to that one, but I ended up looking on their website a little bit, and then I saw they had a wrestling school, so I thought about it, and I was like, no, maybe not. And then I was like my first year in college. I was like thinking again. I was like, wait a minute, why don't I try this now that I'm like 18, 19? And the rest is history.
All right. Let's see. Next question. What was your first wrestling match like?
My first wrestling match was a battle royal. It was in there were two of the two first ones were in Clearfield and then Elizabeth. So there's typical battle royals, just chaos everywhere. My first actual match though, it was like 5 years ago. To I think maybe like next week will be 5th year since then. It was a 6-man tag on like a pre-show, so it was really it wasn't nerve-wracking, but it was different because like for the first time it was like the match opposed to battle royal where the battle royal was like 15, 20, maybe like 25 people. This was like a 6-man tag, so it was only like six of us, so like each of us got to like highlight our strengths.
Okay. What are your goals for the future of for foreign wrestling?
My goals in wrestling, I want to go to Japan. I feel like everybody's like always like Japan's the hot spot, and like Japan's a style of wrestling that I love to watch. So
Yeah.
either that or just like obviously getting the spotlight to hopefully get like a contract and be signed. I feel like that's every wrestler's goal at the end of the day.
A lot of times I hear it's to get signed Japan or over in the UK.
Well, yeah, the UK is good too, but I want to hit Japan first.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna play this song for like 30 seconds. If you guys ever want to check out this song, it is called Firestarter by me. My DJ name is the Techno Fox on all 50 plus platforms. Can't remember them all because it's a lot of platforms to remember. Don't know how that is my top third song, but it's a good rave
That is
song.
sometimes.
Yeah. All right, back to these questions. Can you describe your wrestling persona or character?
Um, so my moniker is the Sky Prince. So I'm traditionally a high flyer. I did lots of like moves off the top rope, springboards, like flips, you name it. Um, I came up with the name Sky Prince because it's like obviously like skies, aerial, and like Prince because whenever I first started, there were like a lot of people on the independent scene, especially in my area, that were doing it before me and like way better. Like Gory, I don't know if you've heard of him, Facade. Um, Even DJ Z or Walking Wild was finishing up on the independent scene right before he got signed whenever I started. So like I kind of like saw myself as the prince to like them being the kings. So that's where that came from.
Speaking of Facade, I have met that dude a couple times.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Pretty cool person. So is Danny Moe,
Yep, Dynamite Danny Mo.
aka the Neon Blondes. Can you share a memorable moment from your wrestling career?
Um, Probably it was like 2 years ago, getting to wrestle Flip Gordon and Matt Taven in Triple Threat. Um,
Okay.
Flip Gordon was like a guy like I always like watched like once I first started like wrestling, like just like kind of like study and stuff. And
Yeah.
then we also were bringing in Matt Taven. And then I was just hoping like I could get a singles match with Flip Gordon. And then I think it was like a week or two before the show, it got announced like a triple threat. And I was like, holy! I was like, there's no way. And then like obviously the triple threat happened, but like just being in the ring with like two like people that were like doing it at like the highest level was like always like a goal. It's always a good thing to do. And like even to this day when I see Matt Taven, he still like shouts me out like, "Oh hey, how you been?" and everything. So he's a really good dude. And then Flip's down in Mexico, so I haven't seen him much.
Down in the AAA, right?
I think CMLL. Okay, I can't
Yeah.
remember which one.
One of the two. I know Matt Taven's on AEW/Ring of Honor with
Yep,
the Undisputed Kingdom.
yep, the good old Kingdom. Him and Bennett.
Him, Bennett, Cole, Roddy, and now Kyle O'Reilly and Wardlow.
Yep.
Can you describe the feeling of winning your first wrestling match? I mean, your first championship.
I have yet to win a championship, so I'm still searching for that feeling. I've
Okay. How do
been
you
in so
handle
many
the
championship matches you'd think, but still waiting
yeah?
for it.
How do you handle the mental and emotional aspects of wrestling?
Um, the emotional is kind of just like I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. It's wrestling, so it's like an ever changing game. Things change last minute, so you never want to get too excited or get too down because things can always change in the snap of a finger. But I mean that's always life too. So kind of just that
Yeah.
same philosophy. And it kind of is like being realistic. Like in general, I'm just a realist. I'm a very realistic person. So once again, never get too high, never get too low. Plus, it's I think it was a Kobe Bryant quote or something like that. It's like act like you've been here before. So it's like I never usually like really get nervous before matches unless it's like a super super big match. But like it's never like I don't get really nervous because it's just it's kind of just doing what I've known to do. So
Yeah, I know that quote too well since I do ice hockey, and that's
yeah,
one of the quotes I go by when I help with young adults trying to play ice hockey.
exactly. Same ring, nothing's different.
Except I have a different motto to it. What I say, it's pretty not greedy. So
Smart.
it means like don't be too greedy what you're doing, but make it look pretty.
Yep.
Which it's kind of hard to do that in ice hockey, especially when the league decides to bring in like players from the city next over,
Interesting.
and you have to try to like feel like, okay, I know nothing about these guys. Who do I want to be a big dick to them, or just try to show up?
Yeah.
All right. If you have a tattoo, which one is your favorite?
I always lose count. Let me see. 7 tattoos. My favorite is probably this phoenix I have on my hand. Um, I got it whenever I first started training, like just to get it, and like over the years, it's become like more of like a meaning to me, I guess, because I've always like heard that the phoenix is like something that obviously like burns stuff down, but once it's burnt down, it has to be rebuilt to like start of a new life kind of way. And like I
Yeah,
said, I got it when I first started training and like for wrestling, so it's kind of like this start of like a new life for me because like I've been wrestling like my entire like since I've been in my 20s now. Like I'm 26, so it's like been obviously a huge chunk of my life at this point.
yeah. That's kind of like the Seth Rollins old motto that he used to go by: rebuild, redesign,
Yep,
reclaim.
sort of, yeah.
All right, so I do this segment called Trev Shock. It's where you got 50 seconds to answer these questions.
Oh, it's like a speed round.
Yeah, I got the idea from Stone Cold's podcast
Nice.
because I was like, you know what, you don't ever hear that on a podcast that much.
No, not really. Not that I can think of.
All right, you ready?
Of course.
Favorite pre-show snack?
Favorite pre-show snack. A smoothie.
Movie? Okay. Pre-show jams. Your top song.
Uh, my top song. Oh, can I skip this one?
Yeah.
I can't think of
Who's
anything.
who's your favorite wrestler growing up?
My favorite wrestler growing up was Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels. Favorite sports team.
Los Angeles Dodgers.
Favorite color.
Turquoise.
Favorite type of music.
Pop.
And then back to that pre-show jams.
The pre-show jams. It's a playlist. Like it always changes. Right now I've listened to a lot of Connor Price. He's pretty cool.
For that 50 seconds. All right. What are the biggest challenges of being a professional wrestler outside of the ring?
Outside of the ring. I guess maybe just like staying healthy, like obviously going to the gym, dieting. I feel like those are the biggest challenges other than being in the ring or even just like doing like promos and like getting comfortable talking in front of a camera or like when you're recording, like talking to essentially nobody.
Yeah. My first promo I ever did, it was down in South Carolina at this wrestling academy called Palmetto Wrestling Academy.
Yeah, I've heard of it. There's a girl that started training up at my place in Pittsburgh and she moved down there and she just came back recently for a couple matches.
And my first promo was a self promo, and I had mine all figured out what I want to say, and then got in the ring, forgot the whole entire thing I was going to say.
Yep, that happens.
So then it turned into me just calling out people, and they're like, you know, it's a self promo, and I was like, I know. The moment I got in that ring, I just completely blanked on who I was.
That's the worst. At that point, you just got improvise.
Right. All right. How do you feel about the business side of wrestling and the role of promoting promotions in the shape of storylines?
Um, business. Once again, just like not getting too high or getting too low. Like it's a business. Like, um, for example, like it's like sports. Like the off season comes, your team lets go your favorite players. It's like it sucks when your favorite players leave, but it's like, hey, it's business. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then promotion wise, it's just like Pittsburgh's sort of becoming oversaturated with indie promotions, but like in a way, it's good. As long as the wrestling's good, it doesn't really matter because it's just more opportunities for everybody to be seen and more spotlights.
If you could wrestle any legendary wrestler from the past, who would it be and why?
Um, Define like past. Like, what do you mean? Like what time period are we talking about? Kind of because there are
Um,
some wrestlers that are still wrestling that are like older.
um, any wrestler like I guess the WWF era or Attitude era.
Um, her and say attitude era. I would say Shannon Moore probably because he was like the attitude era, but that was like over in WCW like that 98 to 2001. I remember getting a little older. I went back and watched WCW. I watched like him, Shane Helms, and Evan Courageous with 3 Count. It was really cool. Plus, like I feel like he's very like underrated for the time period,
Yeah.
and I think he still wrestles now here and there sporadically.
Yeah. If you could attend a wrestling training session with any wrestler, who would you pick?
Um, Probably Brian Kendrick because he's very smart. The more than people would think. Like just listening to like some of his interviews and like podcasts, I feel like there's just so much to learn from, especially somebody like him.
Yeah. Former cruiserweight champion and 24/7 title, I believe.
Yep, and then tag team champions with Paul London. I did a seminar with Paul London, so like I said, Brian Kendrick would be like another one that'd be cool, just like their tag team back in the day.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. If you could have a wrestling legend as your mentor, who would you choose?
A wrestling legend. Um, hmm, Probably Mr. Perfect. I feel like he is very like he was very smooth in the ring and like always like made his opponent shine, which is like a selfless like act. It's like kind of I feel like becoming lost nowadays
Yeah.
in wrestling. But it's like kind
All
of
right.
like learning, maybe like hearing some of his philosophies on certain things.
Yeah. If you could run so I run this 2K universe called the Trev Shock universe, where I run my own promotion, but I have basically like WWE. So we have a world, tag, mid card, or cruiserweight. Which title would you go for?
Probably. What were they again? One more time.
The world heavyweight title, tag, mid card, or cruiserweight?
Are they custom titles? Or like
Yes,
probably the cruiserweight then.
cruiserweight.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the wrestling crossover events with sports and entertainment industries?
Um, I don't really have an opinion. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, wrestling is sports entertainment. Like it's like sports theater. It's a product that's presented. It's people forget like the main part of wrestling is to like kind of like get the fans invested and kind of make them forget about everything else, like suspend their belief and put them in this world that we all live in.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of like where you get crossovers with like WWE and some of their promos and segments where they're movie esque.
What advice would you give a aspiring wrestler?
Just to probably find a reputable school with reputable trainers, because there's a lot of people that train but don't train the right way that are very unsafe, I'd say, and it kind of like also waters down wrestling as a whole. So if you would weed those people out and find the best training in your area, and then like obviously use that to become the best wrestler you can be, it helps wrestling at the end of the day.
Can you talk about the significant rivalry you had that helped your career grow?
Probably first starting out wrestling Gory a lot. He was a guy that I think when I went to IWC, like the show, I skipped I went to the one show that I found out about them. I skipped their next one, then the one after I went to. I walked in as him and Ophidian wrestling for the Super New Championship. Um, and just like he was somebody I always looked up to. So like being able to like wrestle him like for like basically like a year straight here and there, and like even to this day we still wrestle. It's just like learning from him because like we're kind of like the same size and the same style, so it's like some of the same stuff like I deal with, he deals with, or like he can help me and vice versa. Plus, like he also once again trained and like started with DJZ slash Walking Wild and Facade, and like he was there in IWC through like everybody, like Wardlow, Elias or Elijah now, just he's been around for so long.
What was it like working with a particular wrestler that you clicked with in the ring?
Um, I don't really have an answer for that. I mean, like most of the people I've wrestled, I've just like I feel like I've clicked with a lot of people. I've never really had like somebody that I didn't like gel with too much.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to answer that one.
Can you describe your training process and what was the most challenging part learning to wrestle?
Training so it's pretty straightforward. We'd warm up with like squats forever. Then we'd do rolls, a couple like cardio drills for blow ups, and then we'd dive into the lesson of the day pretty much, and then it'd break down to practice matches, and then some sort of calisthenics to end practice. The hardest part for training for me would probably like it's kind of like more self inflicted. I would say like I'm like sort of perfectionist sometimes. So I think like I was always so focused like when it came to like wrestling, like learning and stuff. I think my trainer, like I think one time I like messed something up and he saw the look on my face. He was like, "This is the only time you've shown emotions. Like when you mess something up, you were like annoyed at yourself, and this is the first time I've seen you show emotion." So it was like that was kind of like me like realizing like you can still take it seriously and still have fun with it. So that was a big like changing point.
What is your favorite gear that you have had made before?
My favorite gear I've had made is probably the blue gear I wear now, like here and there. It's just very like very the quality on it's amazing. I got it from JCJ Gear. He makes a gear for a lot of guys like AEW, WB, Ring of Honor. I think it was Cole Carter, another guy that trained with me. He was in the class after me. I asked him where he got his gear from when he was in WB, and he told me JCJ. And then the dude was just like phenomenal on the turnaround time. Like if there were any questions I had, then basically just like sending him like a picture of pretty much what I wanted and just seeing it come to life was like amazing. Because sometimes like you'll give the gear makers your idea and it'll come out like a watered down version or like a different kind of version, but like he either helped enhance it or just like one to one copy it.
And then where can they find you on social media?
Social media, Facebook is Anthony Young. Instagram is a1.young. I think that's Threads too. I just made Threads, so I don't really know too much about that yet. Twitter is a young one underscore, and that is it. And then
Okay.
if there are any links I'm missing, they're in link trees in my bios.
Had your Instagram pulled up too, just in case. All right. Thank you, Anthony, for being on the podcast.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
And then a shout out to the sponsors, Wrestling Evolution over in Denver, North Carolina. And then we are doing a t-shirt contest, everybody, and for this whole season where you could win up to 5 designs of our t-shirts at a professional company design them for me. So let's see who wins that. And then thanks again.
No problem. Thank you.